Hello, everyone. My name is Monday, and I have a master's degree.
And I'm Astra, and I'm a dropout.
Meat, meat, we want the meat. Meat, meat, we want the meat. Gnash those teeth, we want the meat.
All right, so welcome to Gnashing Teeth. This is the first episode of a podcast that we've decided to do, literally because we were watching Trixie and Katya compilations,
And in a
and
fit
we
of
looked at each
Caucasian insanity, we just decided it was something we should do, yeah.
because unlike Chris, what's their full name?
Oh, shit.
Another Caucasian
Oh, shit.
comedian.
Oh, shit.
Uh,
Afraid to Googling, I guess?
yeah.
Whatever, it's
Unlike
fine.
Chris, yeah,
Chris Fleming!
Chris Fleming, who has decided that something awaits for them in the divine for resisting the urge to create a podcast. We are eschewing the
Yeah,
divine
no, fuck that
for
shit.
the podcast.
Fuck
Yeah,
that. It's all about the material world, you know?
it's all about the riches.
The
baby.
riches and the wealth and the fame and all of that shit. So, I guess we should kind of explain the format and the point of this podcast a little bit.
Yeah, so we both are very we're both very passionate people, let's say that.
Yeah.
And we often will sort of just vent or rage about things, both online and to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the name of the podcast, Gnashing Teeth, is actually the vent raging tag that I use on my Tumblr. Which, yes, we're both still on Tumblr.
We're both
2026.
we're both Tumblr users in the year 2026.
So yeah, we're just gonna. I mean, each episode will start with what we've decided to call the raw meat. So
Mhm.
we're each gonna bring a topic to the table to sort of
Alternating
dissect,
weeks.
analyze. Yeah, alternating weeks. So this week is Astras,
Mhm.
and yeah, we'll bring a topic to the table to discuss and bitch about, and then at the end, we're going to be feeding one to the wolves, and that's just sort of an extra special fuck you
Yeah.
to someone or something that upset us this last week.
Yeah.
Well, Astra, if you want to take it away with your special topic of the week.
So, my topic of the week, and I know we kind of been starting out kind of jovial, but this is something I am actually very angry about, is that the queer community doesn't exist. It's very dead. I don't know if it was ever alive to begin with. But I guess the thing that is pissing me off and that I kind of want to talk about and get into is how people use stuff like community as a bludgeon to shut people up.
Mm-hmm.
And especially the queer community, and how, I mean, like, you know, as a TMA person, I don't really experience a coherent queer community. I experience a community of people who are queer, Monday included, but I don't experience a queer community. And I think... What am I trying to say? I think that it is kind of a thing that people don't want to examine. And I think it is very often both, demographics aren't communities, and there's a mistake there, and people use them as the same thing so often that I think people, like... I'm not being very articulate in the very first episode of our podcast.
Well, if I may,
Yeah.
I think what you just said about demographics not being communities is kind of the point that a lot of people, queer people obviously included, sort of miss, because there is a shared experience there, but it is not a universal experience. Like, the shared experience is a specific way one is othered.
Yeah.
But even with queer being so capacious and meaning so many different things, it's especially difficult to grasp any kind of coherent community already. But even with ostensibly more visible communities, like racial communities or class communities, there's still significant differences. I mean, even among those two axes,
Yeah.
people who might share a racial demographic may not share a class demographic, and therefore their experience being racialized will not match depending on their class experience.
Right.
Um, and that's something that, I mean, God bless Kimberly Crenshaw, but my God, nobody fucking understands her.
So for the dropouts among us, Kimberly Crenshaw, whom?
Yes, so Kimberly Crenshaw is the individual who coined the term intersectionality.
Yeah.
Yes, she first used it at least publicly, in a legal article discussing how Black women legally did not exist, because there was not a way for Black women to organize around the notion of being discriminated against as Black women rather than as Black people or as women, because that distinction was not legally salient. So she used the term intersectionality to discuss basically how those two things intersect. And a lot of people took that to mean that oppressions can there's a word, basically they compound, they do not layer on top of each other. Like, oppression is not necessarily a
It's not
layered
additive.
object. Yeah, it's not additive, it is multiplicative.
Yeah.
So being oppressed in one way and also another way, it does not interact in exactly the same way. It interlocks and knots together in messy ways. But I know that she gave a TED talk recently, because she published that paper in the fucking like 70s,
Yeah.
70s, early 80s, so eons ago at this point. But she did a TED talk in more recent years, I think the last decade or so, explaining some of the ways people misunderstood intersectionality as additive. And she used in the paper as well a discussion of like a street intersection, how if one intersection is being Black and the other intersection is being a woman, you could be hit by a car coming from either direction. And in the talk, she sort of discussed that metaphor further, of where, while it may technically matter which direction the car came from, anti-Blackness or misogyny, it ultimately doesn't make a material difference, because the very existence of one at that intersection produced the conditions for one to be hit by a car.
Right, you wouldn't have been
if you
crossing
didn't,
the street.
Right, so the specificities of like the kind of accident or the direction the person who hit you was coming from might matter in like specified or individual sense, but ultimately the only people who exist in that intersection are Black women. So that's sort of I think what you're pointing to kind of
to circle
tie back
back
into the queer community.
It's like as a trans woman, I have a trans community, which I don't feel a part of. I have the demographic of women, which I don't feel welcome in. I'm a lesbian, right? And I don't really feel welcome in the cis lesbian community, right? And there's this line from, I can't believe I'm doing this in the very first episode of the podcast, but there's this idea from a book series I really like called Terra Ignota. Basically, so in this world, there is a person. The first one was just an essayist, and then it became whoever found out who the anonymous essayist was became the next anonymous. The title is anonymous. But the first anonymous wrote this in-world essay about the death of majority. And how after this brutal war that went nuclear and all this, majority no longer existed. And there's this notion that is talked about of, if you add together all of my demographics, my nationality, the things I am a part of, my gender, my race, my sexual identity, the politics I have, if you add all these together, I am a minority of one. Which doesn't hold up to scrutiny in our current world very well. But certainly when you add enough layers of, not even that many, but if you add enough layers of minority or discrimination, you get to such a small group where it's like, where do I find this queer community? Like, what? The 1,000 trans women in Seattle? Right?
I mean, I'm not sure. You would know better than I am. You're
Right, which is the point I'm making. Like the community,
yeah.
community is fundamentally like a group you can feel safe and secure and supported
Right.
in, which is why it's not a term that holds up to scrutiny. Like the community isn't a term that
Mhm.
holds up to scrutiny because the security part is elusive at the best of times with any group of people.
Mhm.
Even if you're a cis straight white man, right? And you have a group of cis straight white man friends, security and support in that friend group, in that community, can be limited or can be conditional or whatever. And if you add on layers of oppression,
Yeah, like if the cis straight white man is from a poor family and is in a college friend group with a bunch of, nepo babies, like
right?
that's a disconnect that is very palpable to him all of a sudden
Yeah.
because of that class distinction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that something about the word community, especially when it's sort of bandied around like a bludgeon,
Yeah.
as you have to silence multiply oppressed people. Like we've both been on Tumblr for long enough to see how trans femmes are treated, not just by
Oh.
staff, but by other
Mm-hmm.
like trans people who bandy around the label of community, specifically my fellow TMEs. I'm putting you on blast on purpose. Yeah.
Boo! Boo!
Yeah, huge boo.
You can't see, but I'm like doing a Roman
Yeah,
emperor
big thumbs
in the
down.
columns in the Colosseum, thumbs down. Yeah.
But yeah, so the point of a community, I mean, you said the word like safety,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's an element of community and communal life that is absent from demographic relations, because even like to talk about the Tumblr thing. So I am TME, trans misogyny exempt,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of other TME people on Tumblr, which is where I primarily do my social media-ing,
Mm-hmm.
is like a lot of those people do not share my beliefs or my experiences. I mean, like a lot of TME people are, especially who are vocal on Tumblr, are trans masculine, trans men specifically. I am not a trans man. I'm a different flavor of trans person, but being a kind of elusive gender traitor, I don't relate to their that's how they talk.
Yeah.
Astra, you have like you have to be a quote unquote gender traitor, and like I've been called a white knight for being a trans feminist, and it's like you sound like an MRA, and like you're a trans men's rights activist. You sound like an idiot.
Like it is astonishing to me how nominally not just liberal or socially aware but leftist people can espouse all of these beliefs and say all the right things and get so close and then literally just recycle racist rhetoric but changing it to gender and then they see it as fine. It's astonishing.
It's depressing, frankly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, so those people, right? Those other TME people who I, again, ostensibly share a community with, because, I'm not a man, and because I am a trans feminist, and that makes me a gender traitor. Like most of my friends are trans women, and it's been pretty hard actually to find other TME people who aren't fucking losers.
Yeah.
It's like it's hard to have a discussion about gender, and it's like, okay, we share this like experience of being, infantilized as children, and like all of these other things that come with being socialized as a little girl. But then it sort of stops there, because I found that a lot of trans men especially, but trans masks generally, will sort of stop short at any kind of analysis of how that gendered experience might translate to someone who was not gendered as a little girl, who was not like treated as like a girl child. Like the infantilization of children is a sort of universal issue, but like boy children, quote unquote, are treated significantly differently. And I have heard from many trans women that like you are not treated as a boy, you are treated as a faggot.
Yeah,
like,
to use an academic term, I guess. Yeah,
well, I mean,
like,
it is.
Like, literally, like, I didn't I mean, partially because, gestures broadly, I didn't have a childhood that really felt like a childhood. And I think
Mhm.
a non trivial part of that is until I was 18, 19, everything felt wrong and I had no idea why, and nobody
Mhm.
was curious about why I felt bad and
Yeah.
why something was wrong. And there was this experience of going, not, I didn't have the words to express it, but no, feeling something was wrong in my body, and everybody going, "Oh, you're a boy, just toughen up." Everybody going, "Oh, it's
Mhm.
fine. Oh, whatever." Um, and this is why I don't know where this male or female socialization in big air quotes
Mhm.
is a is one of those terms that means something, but you have to understand that it is a best approximation, not an accurate description.
Right. Like,
And
you can be treated as a boy or a girl in one or another circumstance, but that does not make, like, all of the social benefits and, like, fallouts of that specific gender, for
yeah,
example, like, that doesn't mean that you are afforded all of those,
yeah,
like, one-to-one, basically.
right. Especially because gender is a lot more wiggly than we think it is.
Mhm.
Um, like it's not, oh, there are men and oh, there are women. It's I people are more perceptive than we give them credit for, and I think most people implicitly know that it's not a stark binary. It is maybe more dials than a
Mm.
spectrum, if that makes sense. But people
Yeah.
can tell when you're not man enough, when you're not, you know, X, Y, or Z enough. Which
Mhm.
which, if it's not binary, and then how do you have degrees? Anyway, if it's a binary, then how do you have degrees of it? But point being, I don't just feel like part of how trans misogyny is invasive is I don't just feel robbed of a little girlhood. I feel robbed as of a childhood because I was
Mhm.
neither. Right? I wasn't really treated as either. Uh, and so hearing, I'm trying to remember what we were talking about. What the point was. Um,
Gendered
hearing
socialization as a child.
gender socialization
Yeah.
as a child, hearing, oh, you're male socialized, or oh, you have this common experience with men. It's like, what the fuck are you talking? I don't actually, because
Yeah.
it's affirming for men and it's disaffirming for me, right? And I think
Yeah,
that's
and
the
I
nugget of
think
it.
that yeah, and I was gonna say, I think that's part of why that disconnect I was talking about happens with trans men, um, or other TME people who are, like, not cis,
Yeah.
um, because, when you're treated as a girl child, but you sort of reject, like, those normative scripts that you're
Hmm.
given. Like, you're a tomboy, you're a precocious little girl, it's like you're infantilized in a different way, and it's like, but they're still valued traits. Like,
Yeah.
when little girls exhibit boy traits, it's valuable, it's good, it's intriguing, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, she's feisty, whatever. Like, she can stand up for herself. Like, because of misogyny.
Hmm.
So, like, that's sort of like, even if you are not read as a little girl or a little boy, like, if you embody traits that are valued by the society you live in, it like it's almost immaterial
Hmm.
because you're still, like, you're getting the privilege of exhibiting those traits.
Yeah.
Whereas behaving or enjoying, like, things that society views as feminine is penalized.
Right, because
So,
masculinity is so
yeah.
viewed as the default that when you
Yeah.
are, coercively assigned male at birth, um, and you deviate from that norm, it is not viewed as it's not even viewed as a deviation, it's viewed as a deficiency,
Yeah.
right?
It has to
Whereas,
be corrected.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Whereas tomboyhood and masculinity in little girls or people who are assigned um, female at birth or whatever we want to say, that is more viewed as a deviance, not entirely. Obviously, there is a lot of, like, there is hard, like, the world is not kind to people who are outside of norms, but it is viewed
Yeah.
more as a being outside of the norm than being defective.
Yeah.
because it is.
Well, and
It's I don't know. I think that's coherent. You were gonna say.
it is. And I think that that's also where, like, again, on Tumblr, I see a lot of TME people getting, like, jumped up and upset because it's like, well, I didn't enjoy being a child either. Like, I also had this othering experience, and the term that has been used is transandrophobia, which is nothing at all.
Oh, you can't
Because, like,
see,
you,
but
like,
Monday is fuming,
I,
fuming.
well, because it's ridiculous. You know, it's like, I understand that trans men and trans masks have experiences of oppression that are distinct from those of trans women.
Hmm.
And obviously, it makes sense and is reasonable to want to talk about those distinctions, you know, both with trans women and with other trans men. That's fine. But using such a term like androphobia is literally anti feminist schlock
Yeah.
that was invented in like the Menonism, Andrew Tate era.
Mm.
Like, it's nothing at all. It's drivel, garbage.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why they think slapping trans in front of it makes it not drivel garbage.
Right.
Because,
It's the
like,
misogyna
ultimately,
blanc bullshit.
yeah, because ultimately, like, transphobia always already assumes, like, men.
Yeah.
Like, it centers men the way all oppression does. I mean, I've talked about this before. Like, every racial justice movement has had a sort of issue where the women in that racial demographic and in those movements have experienced misogyny at the hands of their brothers. Like, their brothers, like, that's the word that's often used in, like, the Chicano movement and the Black Panther movement. Like, in those movements there was an experience of misogyny
Hmm.
that, as Kimberly Crenshaw pointed out, like, literally didn't exist, because being a Black woman, being a Chicana, like, that, those weren't salient categories. And this was
Hmm.
in the 80s, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so I think that this is just sort of catching up to to millennial trans men,
Hmm.
basically, where, yeah, so being a man is not a basis of oppression.
No.
You know, like, you are not treated as well as white men if you
Right.
are a Black man or a Chicano man, but you are still treated as a man. You know, like, you are
Hmm.
still rewarded with the boons of masculinity for performing it well. And again, like, masculinity is also racialized. Like,
Right.
you have to perform white masculinity, because I can think of a few examples of, like, racialized masculinities that are still viewed as deviant,
Hmm.
to use the word we used earlier. But yeah, so there's a way that masculinity is still rewarded and viewed as normative in a way that women of that same demographic are unable to achieve.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make, you know, men of color or trans men ontologically evil.
Right.
It's a level of privilege that they have to analyze, just like white people do. Like, you
Yeah.
have to be aware of the power you hold over people who you do share a demographic and ostensibly a community with. Like, yeah, so that's where I get frustrated with the term transandrophobia, because it's like, yes, there is a way in which trans men should be able to discuss their experiences with transphobia, but you are not being oppressed as a man. In fact, you
Hmm.
are being rewarded for embodying masculine traits.
Right.
That's what privilege is.
Right. And
But yeah,
that rewarding might seem weird because it's not often a direct reward. It is more like
yeah.
it is a softening of things.
Mhm.
Right? Like, I mean, to get really grim about it, trans women are killed, right? Whereas trans men largely are coerced into things they don't want, correctively raped, whatever. Like the murder, there's less like I don't have a statistical basis for this, but
Well, I can give you a statistical basis. The pay gap.
the pay gap,
Trans women
right?
on the dollar are paid less
Yeah, yeah,
than
exactly.
any other queer group. Like,
And
if we
yeah,
want to expand the queer group, like cis lesbians, trans men, all of them are paid more than trans women. And I'll put the source in
in show notes.
our description
Um,
for this episode.
the
But yeah.
the what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. Right. Um, but it is, or even in rhetoric, right? Trans women are made out to be monsters. We are made out to be predatory and insidious and coercive and all of these really nasty things. Whereas trans men are, the rhetoric is often, they are misguided. They are coerced into things. They are foolish. Like it is
Mhm.
it is a lot more, oh, they made a mistake, or oh, they've been taken advantage of, and not, oh, they're monsters. Which doesn't seem like privilege. It doesn't feel like
Right.
privilege. But it is a privilege. Right? Softer
Yeah.
rhetoric, like rhetoric that isn't as harsh and dehumanizing, is right. It sucks that is a form of privilege, but when you look at the material results, it matters, right?
Yeah.
Um, and beyond that, it makes it hard. It is very enticing to see, how do I say this? Like, to have an experience of something very negative, right? Of having experienced
Mhm.
misogyny without the benefits of being a woman yourself, right?
Yeah.
I haven't had that experience as a child, right? I kind of experienced it as
Right.
a trans woman, but not in the same way. That, I imagine, is awful, and it is aching, and it is terrible. But getting out of it, and then immediately using it as a bludgeon,
Mhm.
is unacceptable. And that's why I don't, like, even if the queer community wasn't a thing, was a thing rather, even if the queer community, even if there was a coherent, widespread community of queer people that was accepting of trans women, right? I wouldn't feel comfortable being a part of it because of the way that teammates so often behave and use their own oppression as a bludgeon to shut up trans women. And I'm a white
Yeah.
trans woman, right? I have it comparatively easy, and it is unacceptable to me,
Yeah.
right? And there's been this drama going on Instagram with
Mm.
a poster named Saber,
I don't know
a
about
trans
this.
woman named Saber,
Mhm.
who basically she is being called out for being racist and is handling it very poorly.
Mm.
Um, and what's my point here? My point is, I have, you know, two axes of oppression to deal with, and that's kind of like that are super heavily discriminated against right now.
Mhm.
Right, that is women and being a woman and being trans. Um, and it is hard enough. And the idea of having to share a community with, like, how do I say this kindly? Um, the idea of being, you know, a trans woman of color and having to share the experience with some fucking upstart white T boy who is crying white boy tears over the fact that he doesn't get to have his own term. Why would I want to be in that
Yeah.
community, right? Why would I want to be part of that community, right? That isn't, like, that's part of why I feel like it is a nonsense term,
Mhm.
because it is collating, it is presuming an experience for a very specific set of people, that being TME, largely cis, gay men, lesbians, and bisexuals, is the community and experience of a whole group.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense. It doesn't hold up. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's
Well,
the thesis. It just doesn't hold up to scrutiny because it's weirdly like a conservative talking point, almost, where it's
mhm.
harkening back to an era that used to exist that never really existed. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like the Butch Femme bullshit, right? Like, Butch Femme isn't
Yeah.
isn't isn't a set of terms or a set of cultures that hold up to trans experiences. And I say this as somebody who likes the label Butch, right?
Yeah.
It feels very like harkening back to an era that no longer exists, that never existed, which is a
Yeah.
conservative talking point fundamentally.
Yeah, and I think to wrap a bow on it, like the thing that designates a community is a support network.
Yeah.
So, like not every member of a demographic can be someone that you can rely on for uh really any kind of support. Like
Right.
I wouldn't trust a random T-boy in Philadelphia with like anything. Like I don't know
Yeah.
him. Like even if we're supposed to share some experience, like I don't know him. I don't care, you know?
Right.
And
And
it's
I could rattle off trans women who have violated my trust, and I wouldn't touch with a
exactly.
10-foot pole.
So community is personally decided. I mean, it's an in-group. Like
Right.
not even like not even like demographically in group. It's like it is a group of people that you on a personal level designate as those that you trust and could rely on for support, whether that's material, emotional. Like I would not call the queer community my community, and
Yeah.
that's because community does not mean the same thing as demographic.
Yeah.
So I think that's my thesis.
Yeah.
Like community is people that you rely on and trust and can form meaningful relationships with. And I don't think that's possible for a demographic to do.
Right.
It never has been.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the nugget of it, I think the cause, if we want to get kind of metatextual, that's not what that word means. If we want to kind of pull out a little
Okay,
bit,
vocab.
extrapolate a little bit, is
There it is.
Thank you. I got there eventually. Is that the term community has been nonsensified. It doesn't mean anything anymore.
Mhm.
It doesn't actually
Yeah.
coherently mean anything because it is a like, you know, like humans are communal creatures.
Yeah.
The environment we evolved in is one of actual community, right? Where it's, 10 to 50 people working together to a common goal, raising kids, staying alive, hunting and gathering, doing all of this. It isn't
Making art.
making art. It isn't hundreds of thousands, millions of people across the world who share
Yeah.
the fact that they aren't cishet, right?
Yeah.
Or, add as many adjectives as you want to
Sure.
your allo whatever, like however
There's a million examples. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't share an experience with every white person on the planet
right,
because that community does not exist, and saying
Exactly.
so is literally fascist. So
Literally.
I don't understand why we're doing this with gender. Like even if we theoretically share an experience of realizing that our gender, quote unquote, is not whatever our parents said, that doesn't mean that we share something meaningful or that I can rely on you or vice versa.
Exactly. I think that's today's kill, dressed and prepared.
Yay. To the butcher with you.
To the butcher with you.
Puts a knife in it.
Yay. Who are we throwing to the wolves today? I mean, I think there's an obvious answer. And I'm sorry. I think there's an obvious answer.
Shit, I'm dead.
Shit, you're
Well,
dead.
I mean, we can have different ones. Mine's unrunrelated, actually.
Oh,
but you
oh,
can go-
we're doing
you can go-
personal bullshit. If we're doing personal
Yeah, that was
bullshit,
fun.
we're throwing my boss
Yeah.
who changed my schedule to change my fucking day off 3 days of warning in the middle of a huge rush. I'm throwing him to the wolves, and I'm watching and I'm going, yes, yes.
chuckling and
Mwah!
stroking your white cat like a supervillain.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck your boss forever. I'm driving a car into your place of work.
Thank you. And who are you throwing to the wolves?
So this week I am throwing every Dan and Phil fan to the wolves. If you motherfuckers leave another tag about those white boys on my posts about women, I'm going to physically harm you. I don't care about them. I've never cared about them. I'm really happy your yaoi wish is coming true. Don't talk to me about it.
Mhm.
That's
That-
I'm feeding all of you to the wolves.
Wow. Special. Yeah.
Wow.
So
that was Gnashing Teeth.
that was Gnashing Teeth. I'm Astra,
And I'm Monday.
and we'll probably see you again soon. Maybe next week. We'll see.
Yay. Goodbye, gamers.
Hello, this is Editing Astra here, and I just wanted to say that I forgot to credit our amazing theme song artist, hit artist Calamity Girl, who will be linking.
I'm your biggest fan. I love you so much, Calamity Girl. Oh my god.
who I will be linking in our description. Check her music out. She's awesome.
Oh my god, I'm in love with you, please.
That's right.